Let me welcome you all for this session. Today, we are going to discuss a program and maybe a few concepts of pointers. So, to begin with, let me start with the program where we try to find out the square root of a given number. So, let me start off with the comment statement, which gives the description of my program. Program to find square root of a number. Now, what is speciality of this program? See, in this lab experiment, you're not supposed to use the inbuilt function called as power. Now, power is the square root. Now, square root is a inbuilt function. SQRT is the inbuilt function whose prototype is available in math.h. So I'm going to include math.h along with stdio.h because I'll be using printf and scanf statements. But the idea here is to implement the program without using square root, but maybe at the end we'll also use square root function to compare the results of the task we are actually doing. The task is to find out the square root of a given number. Okay, so let me begin the program. I already have two preprocessor directives. Have defined two header files using two header files stdio.h and math.h, and then directly start off with the function main function, and then in the main function I would like to um, declare few variables. Now s, I'm declaring it as an integer, and I'll be using other variables like x, d, and n, uh, which I have declared it as double. Okay, um, double actually requires 8 bytes to store the values, whereas integer, it requires just 2 bytes to store the value. So the reason why I'm using double here is that I may go for a bigger number. Say I want to find out a square root of a number whose fractional part maybe 4 or 5 digits. So I'm preparing it for that. Okay, let me accept the value first. To accept the value, I'll use printf. Let me print the text first for the user to know what is supposed to give. We'll say enter the number. So enter the number, give a space here, and then I say scanf. Now I'll be accepting the double value here. So we want to accept the double value here, then it is represented by lf comma ampersand n. So I'll accept a double number or any number. So I'll basically try to check after this that whether my n value is positive or negative. If it is negative, then I'll just display the statement saying that square root, no square root for the negative number. If it is positive or equal to 0, then I'll try to find out basically the positive number. Okay, now ah now here are few things that I would like to explain. See, when we talk about finding out the square root of a given number, can anybody tell me how do we find out a square root of a given number manually? How do you do it manually? How do you do it? Any answers, guys? Please answer me. How do you find out the square root of a given number? Guys, please answer.
Guys, square root.
Sir,
Yeah. Yeah, please go on. Go on.
So by
Okay.
using the means keyword
Using
SQRT,
the
SQRT.
no, I'm not talking about the inbuilt function in C. We have still not discussed that, so I will not. Let's not discuss that inbuilt function. And I want you to tell me how would you find out the square root of a given number. Mathematically, how do you do it? Okay, now tell me, how much is this? How much is the square root of 25?
The lowest common factors of that number,
Okay.
and will see like if there's even number of those specific numbers,
Hmm.
will eliminate those from the root.
Okay, great. Now the idea here is, now I'm going to use a method. I don't know whether you are aware of this method or not. Say if I want to find out the square root of 29, I want to find out the square root of 29. Uh, what is the square root of 29? Can anybody
It's a
find out the
prime number.
value of 29? I mean, square root of 29. How much is it?
Yes, sir.
Square root of 29. Please type your answers. Please type your answers on the chat box.
So it's a prime numbers.
Yes, sir.
Give me a minute.
So should we use that
Give me.
guess and divide method?
Yeah. You do it. See, somebody has rightly given. 5.38. Actually, you will find. We will get some recurring numbers also, but 5.38 is okay. Fine. That's okay. So you already know a method to calculate the square root of the number. Okay. Now let me uh, just discuss the method. Yeah, somebody did type 5.3851. Great. Uh, okay. Now let us discuss how this can be calculated. Okay. Now assume that I want to find out the square root of 29. Most of you have typed 5.38. Let me start with the decimal part of this number. Now the decimal part of this number is 5, right? For 29, it is 5. If you see the range between 25 and 36, what will be the decimal part of that square root? Are you able to get understand my question? See, from 25 to 35, not 36, from 25 to 35, if I try to find out the square root of the numbers between 25 to 35, what will be the decimal part of that number?
Yes, sir. 5 point
5.
something.
5 point something. The decimal value is 5. Fractional part can be anything. We'll discuss that later. But what would be the decimal part? Decimal part would be 5. Right? Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. So let us try to find out that first. How do I find out? How do I find out? I will be using a for loop. For loop. Say I will initialize s to 1. S, if you see, I have declared it as an integer value. And here I'll say s star s. S star s less than equal to n s plus plus. And I'll put a semicolon here. Okay, let's trace this for loop. Now, initially my s value is 1. The initial condition is that I have initialized s to 1. I have an incrementing statement, s goes on incrementing by one value. So initially it is 1, second time it will be 2, 3, 4, 5, so on. What is the condition that I have here? The condition that I have here is S star S should be always less than equal to N. Less than equal to N. What will be my, assuming that my N value is 29, what will be my first value of S? What is the first value of S?
Initially, it will start with 1.
Yes, it will
One.
initially start with 1. See, I'm trying to find out whether you have really understood the concept of for loop. Forget about the other assumptions. Let's focus on for loop. Initially, S value is 1. No doubt on that. I'll come back to this semicolon later. Okay. Now, after initialization, which part of your for loop will execute next? Ishika Agarwal? Ishika, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir, I'm there.
Yeah, please tell me, after the execution of S equal to 1, the initialization statement in the for loop, what would be the next statement that your for loop will execute? Guys, others can also answer.
Comparison statement.
Yes, very good. Who's that? It is Rohan. Okay.
Yes.
Rohan and others, you're right. The first part of your for loop is the initialization statement that executes, or that is what is performed first. And the second part of the statement is your conditional statement. So after initialization, your compiler will automatically compare or check the condition in the comparison statement. Only when it is true, if it evaluates to true, then the body of the for loop will get executed, or else it will not execute. It will not even go to the incrementation statement. You should all remember this. These are some of the fundamental aspects of for loop. Okay, now first S is assigned to 1. That is how it works, and then it immediately checks for the condition. Now what is that condition? S star S, 1 star 1 is 1. Is it less than equal to N, that is 5? Yes, it is, which means that the condition is evaluated to true. Great. So in that case, it has to execute the body of the for loop. Now here we don't have the body of the for loop, because I've given a semicolon here. Your compiler will certainly not give you any error. It assumes that there are no statements in the for loop. That means that it will not just pass the control out of the for loop. No. What it does is, since there is no statements as part of your for loop, the next statement that it executes is the incrementation statement. So S plus plus S now becomes 2. Now when it becomes 2, again the control goes back to the conditional statement. It will check 2 star 2, that is 4, right? It is 4. 2 star 2 is 4. 4 less than equal to N, right? Yeah, it is 5. 5. So condition evaluates to true. Again, you have a semicolon, so it goes back. S gets incremented. Now when S gets incremented, what is the value of S now?
3.
3. So 3 star 3. So 3 star 3. Right? So 3 star 3 is how much?
9.
9. 9, is it less than equal to N?
No.
No.
Sir, the value of n is 29, no, sir?
Yeah, correct. You are right. The value of N is 29. So let's assume that N is 29. Okay, I should have discussed that. Yes, it is not 5, it is 29, because whatever value that we take, it is directly substituted there. So value of N is 29. So but S value remains as it is. So S is 3. 3 star 3 is a 9. 9 is compared with 29. So it is less. It evaluates to true. Again, it goes back, increments S value. When S value is incremented, now the S value becomes from 3, it is incremented to 4. 4 star 4 is 16. 16 less than equal to 29. It is true again. So what happens? What happens? Since you have a semicolon,
Incremented again.
the S value increments once again. So when the S value increments once again, S becomes 5. So 5 star 5, 25 is less than equal to 29. Yes, it is true again. Semicolon, you don't have any statement, comes back to the incrementation statement. Now the value again gets incremented. S gets incremented once again. What is the value of S now?
6.
6. So 6 star 6 is 36. 36 less than equal to 29. Now the statement will evaluate to false. Now when the statement evaluates to false, the control comes out of the for loop. Now when it comes out of the for loop, I make a statement which is S minus minus, put a semicolon. What was the value of S while leaving the for loop?
6.
6. Now
6.
I've reduced, after coming out of the for loop, I've reduced the value of S by 1. So now it is 5. So square root of 29 would be 5 point something. Okay, that's something we will find out now, but 5 we have already found out. 5 is nothing but the value that is stored in S. Am I right? So now we have found out the decimal part of the square root of a number. Now our next quest is to find out the fractional part. Okay, 385, whatever value that you said, we will try to find it out now. Now how do we do that? So to do that, I use another for loop. D is a double data type. So 0.001, D less than 1.0. I'll explain this. D plus equal to 0.001. Okay. Here I will say X equal to double S plus D. If X star X is greater than, not less than, greater than double of N, then what will I do? I will just say X equal to X minus 0.001 break semicolon. Here I'll have a closing loop, and again I will now have a closing another loop. So I will have pushed a bit. Let me pull it back. One tab sufficient. Yes. Okay, let me just explain this for loop. Square root of 29, you said it is 5.385. So we need to get we need to get 385 here. So how do we get that fractional part? So I'm starting the fractional part of a square root number from 0.001. So this for loop, in this for loop I have assigned a D to 0.001. This set of iterations will go on performing or getting executed until D value is less than 1. Once it reaches 1, it has to come out, right? It fails, it comes out, which means that there is a provision for this D for the for loop to go on changing the value of D until it is fractionally less than 1. So it can go up till 0.9999, so on. So as we just discussed, the square root of any number between 25 and 35 would be 5 point something, and that something is obviously less than 1. I hope that you all have understood that. Okay, so here what I'm trying to do within the for loop, I'm trying to add s with d. First time my x value would be the value of s, which is 5. If I consider 29 as the input, 5 as the value of s, 5 plus d. D is initially 0.001. So I start x value from 5.001. Now when I say 5.001, you may ask me, sir, the value is 5.385, but then we are starting with 5.001. We will initially start with 0.001 as the fractional part, and slowly we go on adding the value so that it reaches to the exact value. Now, how do we do this? So new x value, I'm finding it out, right? 5.001 is the first value. Now here I'm trying to check if x into x is greater than n. What is n? What is the value of n?
29.
29. Guys, are you all with me? Vishal Jain, Ashwin Singh, Sanjay Kumar, Sanjeev. Hey, come on, guys, you have to answer me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, only it cannot happen that one person goes on answering, but all others just listen. It should not be like that. You have to be participants, or else I will not know whether you are really understanding it or not, right? So I'll not be satisfied if I'm not able to convince. Of course, I cannot be happy, right? So please make sure that you give me a feel of getting convinced. Okay. Fine. So the first value of x, as I said, was 5.001. I'm trying to check whether x into x. Now, when I say x into x, it will be 25 for this value of x, current value of x, it will be 25, 25 point, x into x would be how much? What is the value of x? It is 5.001. Now it will be 25 point some value, a small value, which is obviously not greater than 29. So what happens? What happens? Now I have to, what am I doing here? Can anybody tell me what am I doing here?
Um,
Hello.
What am I doing there?
the value was started from 0.001. It
Hmm.
should have started from 0.000.
Yeah. No,
Get the real value.
see, the idea here is I go on incrementing the value of d and go on adding it every iteration. Every iteration. Now, if the value exceeds 29, then I'm just going to subtract 0.001 from that value, or else I'm not executing this at all, because this condition will fail. So only once this condition will be true. This condition will be true only once at the end, or else it will just go on computing x value and then it will come out. Okay. Now this time the condition evaluates to false, So it comes out, goes back to the for loop again. Now the value of D is 0.002 because I'm incrementing it by 0.001. Okay, now value of D increments, and now it is 0.002, that is going to get added with 5. Now the value of X is 5.002. Again it will check, it fails, comes back, D value gets incremented. Now the D value is 0.003. So it goes on incrementing. So at one particular point, what happens is the new value of x after including the fractional part will exceed n, which means that if I multiply x into x, it should exceed 29. When will it exceed? Obviously this would have marginally exceeded because every step I'm incrementing the x value by 0.001, very meager value I'm incrementing, right? So when it exceeds, that is once it reaches 29, automatically this condition evaluates to true and it will reduce the x value by 0.001. So it falls under the it falls a very small value lesser than 29, which means that we have reached the actual value square root of 29. That is what it means. Okay, so then the control then this x value is reduced and you have a break statement here. Where do we, I think we have an extra break statement here. So it comes out of the for loop, not directly from and not just from the if conditional statement. It will be coming out of the for loop. Now when the for loop when the control comes out of the for loop, then we have computed the square root of 29, which is now in x. Okay, so now what I will do is this is an if conditional statement. They should be here. Okay, now this is a if conditional statement. I said n greater than equal to 0, right? Okay, now after coming out, I have to print the value. So printing value is printf. I'll say the square root of the given number is percentage dot 3 lf. Lf represents double, dot 3 represents that when the value is printed, let it print 3 digits after the decimal point. So the maximum number of digits that I want the compiler to print would be 3 digits after the decimal point. You can make it 4, you can make it 5, whatever values that you want, you can just do that. So x, right? I have to print the x value. Great. So this is done. Let me copy the same statement once again. Square root of the given number using sqrt, because we have to cross verify, right? Let's cross verify what is the value that is given by the inbuilt function. Now inbuilt function, this is, I cannot just give x, rather I have to give sqrt n. Okay, I have same 0.3. Okay, this completes my L. If so, else I'll have here, then here I'll have printf. I'll copy the same statement once again. I'll say, I will just say no square root for the negative number. Okay, so no square root for the negative number. Now here what I need to do is I have to push this a little bit. Here I'll say return 0. Okay guys, so let's run the program. Compiler error. Why? What was it? Oh, you cannot give a space, right? So I'm giving a space here. Great. I'll give the same value 29. See, it is same 5.385. So our computed value is 5.385. Okay, if you use the inbuilt function, square root, it is giving the same value. Okay. Okay, let me just change a little bit here. I'll make it 4. I'll make it 4. Will there be any change in the output? Let's see that with the same value, of course. 29. How's here? There is a slight change. No doubt in that. So we have 0.3850, the value that we have computed. Whereas if you see the value that is computed using SQRT, it is 3852.